为什么全世界都拿中国没办法 ？Next，
dass das chinesische Volk ein uraltes Kulturvolk ist, dass die ältesten chinesischen Schriftzeichen beinahe 1000 Jahre älter sind als die 5 Bücher Mose im Alten Testament. Die chinesische Kultur ist heute mindestens 4000 Jahre alt. Die Schriftzeichen stammen aus dem Jahre 3000 vor Jesus Christus.
Ist Alter ein Wert an sich? Kann eine Kultur nicht auch überaltert sein?
Das Faszinierende ist, dass dieses uralte Kulturvolk plötzlich zu einer Vitalität erwacht, mit der heute vor 30 Jahren niemand in Amerika und niemand in Europa gerechnet hat. Die sind nicht überaltert, die sind voller Kraft.
Warum?
Das ist auch für mich ein Rätsel. Sie unterscheiden sich in einem Punkt davon.
Next，
我第2次环游中国，同样的路线，当初我用了整整3个月，这一次只用了32天。那个倒了房子的村子，家家都盖上了小洋房，水泥路通到了每家每户门口，哇！大家把这叫活路。马铃薯那是一车车的往外运，我在路边想买一袋，他们都直接要我扫码付款了。他们还把马铃薯加工成饲料卖给其他地方，用来饲养鳗鱼。那个牌照手都不知道往哪放的那个害羞汪 uncle， 他拿起手机打开直播，双击666玩得可溜了，几个小时就把1季的收成全卖光了。哈，当年的小姑娘就要大学毕业了，所以我请她来厦门大学读研究生，因为这里的春天很美。回去后，我把这一路看到的变化讲给家人和朋友，他们都觉得不可思议，这么大的国家，这么多人口，竟然在这么短的时间内摆脱了绝对贫困，简直是人。
Next，
Entire cities from scratch. Moved the majority of their huge population from poverty to the middle class, and mostly cornered the market in 5G and pharmaceuticals. Oh, and they bought Africa. Their new Silk Road initiative is the biggest infrastructure project in history, indebting not just that continent, but large parts of Asia, Europe, and the Middle East to the people who built their roads, bridges, and ports. If you want to go anywhere in the world these days, you better have a yen for travel. Yen for travel. Oh, stop it. In China alone, they have 40,000 kilometers of high-speed rail. America has none. Our fastest train is the train that goes around the zoo. China sees a problem, and they fix it. They build a dam. We debate what to rename it. That's why their airports look like this.
Next.
Alright, so I've finally made it to China, and in this video, I'm gonna go ahead and share with you some of the first impressions that I've noticed and pretty much let you glimpse into the life that I'm living here in Suzhou. Let's start this video. So before we dive into it, I just want to talk a little bit about where I am. The city that I'm living in currently is called Suzhou. It's about a 2-hour drive or a 30-minute bullet train ride away from Shanghai. With over 10 million people, Suzhou is one of the most popular tourist destinations in China, but I'll save that for another video. So a few impressions that I've had so far of China. One being the people are super friendly. I feel there is a stereotype that Chinese people might be considered rude or pushy, and I haven't experienced any of that yet here in China. Everyone is very accommodating and very friendly. Also, the area I'm living in China is very modern. You pretty much will be able to find anything.
Next.
以后回来，哇，发现什么呢？发现你给维生素片或者你给营养中餐，这片的数学水平提高，所以就是证明这个贫血或者缺少微量是一个大问题。后来慢慢的，这个国务院就开始推广，11年的年底，他们推广一个营养中餐， 现在每一年就花了多少40亿美元，给超过3000万个孩子一个营养中餐。你看中国政府，这个是一个看不清楚的问题，一个 invisible problem， 对不对？后来发现问题，发现怎么解决这个问题，中国就是一下子就推广692个贫困县的营养中餐的项目啊，这个没有一个国家。没有任何的国家在全世界能够做这个的，政府决定做，绝对很快。
Next.
Second-hand trains in the future.
Second-hand, 30-year-old trains, second-hand and substandard. Right. Well, you feel very strongly, obviously, and it's something wherever we go in the country, we're hearing these complaints about our transport structure. Isabel Oakeshott.
Well, totally not. I mean, as a hard-pressed commuter who suffers daily on substandard train services, that absolutely can't be right. And I was looking into this earlier and just wondering, for the sake of argument, how the Chinese do these things. And I noticed that they were able to build a whole new station in the space of 9 hours by flooding it with thousands of workers. We should be much more imaginative about getting infrastructure in quickly instead of condemning people to being isolated in remote areas.
Well, and I shared a taxi coming here, and the commentary I can tell you in the taxi was that the roads looked better than the area where we were living in England. I'm delighted to hear it, but I have to say to you, it was much better than in Buckinghamshire. But everybody in their own area complains, and the truth is our road repairs have been very, very bad, and it's deteriorating. And yes, austerity has prevented expenditure on all sorts of things that we could need to spend money on. But equally, if we cannot borrow more money, so the only way...
Next.
Side of the moon. Do you think the Russians don't know that for the first time since John Glenn was sent up to orbit this planet, America cannot put a person into space without asking the Russians to do it? Do you think the rest of the world doesn't know that we're not investing in our infrastructure? That we're not investing in the young generation of Americans? That we're willing to lose the race for artificial intelligence to the Chinese? That we're going to break all of our long-standing alliances since World War II at a moment when China is rising? That China's GDP has quadrupled since 2001, tripled since 2003, doubled since 2009. Do we think that no one in the rest of the world knows all?
Next.
Because it does not have the handicap of being a democratic country. I don't believe that the descending problem can be overcome in democracies. And China has a big advantage in this regard, that it could introduce policies such as paying high sums of money to female graduates to have children but not to the rest of the population. It can introduce policies of this kind, which would be unacceptable in democracies. China also has one considerable advantage arising as an unforeseen consequence of the one-child policy. The consequence of the one-child family has been that many couples would prefer to have a boy than a girl, and they have secured this objective. So there are many more young men in China than there are young women. Now, this can have a significant eugenic effect because it places power in the hands of women to select men. Women who select men as their mates and marriage partners generally select men who are intelligent, successful, and of high moral character. So the effect of this will be effectively to sterilize.
Next.
Like a big European city, that has too many people, they'll still think it's quite small. Yeah, it's because tiny cities are just so incredibly big. Imagine, I live in Hangzhou. There are 10 million people in Hangzhou. What? 10 million people in one city? It's just, I can't even imagine that. I think no Slovak person can imagine, a city so big. It's ridiculous. Anyway, one time, I was traveling with some of my friends, and we were just talking about the cities we were seeing, and I was asking about one city, and they're like, oh, it's not interesting, it's just, it's just a small town, just a village. So I'm just like, oh, really? So how many people live in there? Then my friend goes like, 800,000. What? 800,000? 800,000 is a village? 800,000? The capital of Slovakia has 4.
Next.
Your life after you come to China?
My biggest change is you.
Really?
We are living together.
Yeah, anything else?
We have a lot of good food in France.
Yeah.
But the food is great here in China.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
How about you?
Chef first.
Maybe.
To have more passion with the people, to try to explain better the things to the people.
China is a country that's growing very fast. A lot of investments happening here in China. While in Europe, it's more close in crisis, so they're scared of spending money.
It's way more safer than France. Relationships are different. It takes more time to trust people between foreign and Chinese.
Digitalization and the speed.
I will miss that, definitely. Like you're ordering something on Taobao and it's there. Or yesterday evening I ordered at 11 an ice cream and it was delivered after half an hour.
For example, they are not afraid of...
谢谢观看，喜欢的点赞加关注。